What's up? This is Ivan, and in this video we're going to talk about the Obi-Wan finale. This is my review. Welcome to the channel. This is Holocron Jedi. Knowing what I knew from all the way to episode 5, what this whole series has been, I didn't expect a lot from the finale, honestly. The overall episode was very choppy. It was riddled with a lot of plot holes, and again, a lot of the bad, inconsistent writing there. It decanonizes a lot of things, and it just ruins a lot of continuity within the Star Wars universe that impacts the original Star Wars movie and also Revenge of the Sith. We start the whole show with Reva on Tatooine. We don't know how she survived a stab in the stomach with a lightsaber. We know Qui-Gon died from it. We don't know how the Inquisitor survived from it. So I guess getting impaled by a lightsaber in the Star Wars universe is just a scratch. It just doesn't make any sense. So Reva is there looking for Owen because of Luke Skywalker, and there is no reason why she should be there for that. She's already sort of made her peace with Obi-Wan about, you know, killing Darth Vader and not becoming like him. So I don't understand why she's there. She says later on to Owen that's because she's looking for justice, but it just doesn't make any sense what kind of justice it is. So she wants justice for all those younglings that died at the temple by killing another youngling, another kid. It doesn't make any sense. So that was very weird and vague, and a strange writing choice and a strange character motivation, or no motivation at all, especially coming from this character that after seeing this finale, she just was not essential to the overall story of Obi-Wan and Vader. She did not add anything consequential to Vader's story or Obi-Wan's story. Vader and Obi-Wan's story is isolated in this episode and overall in the whole series from Reva. This whole series basically was a bait and switch type of marketing with the show, where we thought it was only going to be about Obi-Wan, Vader, maybe a couple side characters or establishing characters like the Grand Inquisitor, and then about maybe 50% of the whole show was about Reva. She was a character that we did not need. It was a waste of space and time that we could have used for Obi-Wan and Vader. We could have had more time with Obi-Wan training with Qui-Gon. We could have had a lot more interesting things with Obi-Wan. Instead, the writers here gave us this new character that was very poorly acted, very poorly written, and just very poorly portrayed and everything like that. We have some scenes with Obi-Wan on the transport ship and the Star Destroyers chasing him. It's kind of a slow chase. Also, if you remember in The Empire Strikes Back, the Millennium Falcon is being chased not just by his Star Destroyers, but by TIE fighters. Because, you know, Darth Vader wants that ship. He wants Han Solo and Princess Leia. And so I don't understand why there are no TIE fighters here. Perhaps it's under Darth Vader's mandate, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense because it's kind of The Last Jedi all over again. They're slowly chasing it, and it's not very exciting to see. The visuals in this section, in this part of the episode, are pretty good. You know, seeing the Star Destroyer and everything was pretty cool. And I remember when episode 1 came out, I was very impressed by the CGI and the visuals. For some reason, they took a dive here in this final episode. The visuals, the CGI here are not as impressive as what I remembered from all the way from episode 1. So I don't know what happened. I don't know if they were basically stretching the budget here, or they ran out of, you know, budget for the visual effects, and they were just kind of, you know, Mickey Mousing it the whole time with the special effects, which probably explains why a lot of the scenes in this show are very dark and they're at night, so to hide probably the visual effects. There's a lot of emotional scenes and goodbyes with Obi-Wan and Leia. I think the final one at the end of the episode is a little bit more appropriate, but there was this elongated one when they're on the ship, and it adds more continuity issues with Obi-Wan and Leia in A New Hope. That's if you count this as canon. And it just makes Leia come off as like, don't you remember this guy that you went on this adventure? She should have been traumatized by it, and shouldn't she remember him? But all she just says in the original movie is like, General Kenobi, you helped my father in the Clone Wars. And like, what about Obi-Wan? You helped me escape 2 times. You were there when we were almost getting killed by the Empire, and this chick with the lightsaber was chasing us. And do you remember that? Can you help me again with this? Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And then she has like this whole emotional connection with him. And from the original movie, it kind of seems like she never really met him. That it was stories that her father told him about Obi-Wan, that she kind of just gets all this information about him. And she sees Obi-Wan as this great hero, this mythic type of almost hero that she heard about. This General Kenobi fought in the Clone Wars type of thing. So it's just a little bit odd with the characterization that we got of Leia in the original movie to what we see here, and the writers are almost just retconning a lot of things here with the relationship that was supposedly there that we never really had any hints of in the original movie. Remember that Darth Vader killed Obi-Wan on the Death Star, and Leia was there along with Luke and Han, and there was no response or reaction from her when she realized that Obi-Wan was dead. Luke Skywalker mourned more for him on the Falcon than Leia, and she was just kind of like, oh, telling Luke there was nothing you could do about it to save Obi-Wan. But she herself didn't show any emotion. It's not like she wasn't sad, but she didn't show any emotional connection in that moment when she was consoling Luke, as if she knew Obi-Wan from a long time ago. So it's just a lot of continuity issues with Obi-Wan and Leia here, just strengthening their relationship here as if it's going to pay off later in the original movies. Instead, we could have gotten a story with Obi-Wan and Luke Skywalker, a little bit more of that there in this series, where they could have strengthened their relationship so that when we see Luke in A New Hope, him talking about Ben Kenobi, he already has a relationship built with him. He already has a connection with him and so forth. So we get to Luke's farm, and we see Owen and Beru are basically getting ready for Reva, and there's a moment where Beru tells Owen that they need to fight and stay. Now throughout this whole series, I've noticed there is a pattern here, that mostly all the time the women are the ones that tell the men that they need to fight, or that they need to just stop, you know, feeling sad and, you know, move forward and that sort of thing, those type of messages. And I have not seen Obi-Wan or any other, you know, male character kind of just be assertive and say, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. Maybe the character of the Ice Cube's son, maybe he's probably the closest one to actually being a little bit more assertive and saying we're going to do this and that. But overall, you know, Owen, a farmer on Tatooine, a moisture farmer who's lived a hard life as a farmer on this desert planet, you'd think he'd be a little smarter and more on his feet and say, you know what, we're going to defend our home, go get the blasters, Beru, we're going to do this. Instead, Beru is like giving him a lecture, and then Owen's like, okay. And it just comes off as just kind of, again, with the whole like, oh, the women are the ones that do everything right. The men are stupid and they need to be told what to do. It just comes off as very bad, and it's very obvious what they're trying to do here, Lucasfilm and the writers, and it's just bad. So Reva arrives, and you know, they start shooting at her, and then she chases Luke. Now I checked the episode really good. It appears that Luke never saw Reva with her lightsaber. Now this moment where she doesn't kill him, basically, I guess the writers are saying the excuse for Obi-Wan not being there is because he's fighting Vader, which is just a continuity issue alone. And Obi-Wan, I guess, in this moment, just basically has failed Luke Skywalker. But Reva is the best. You know, the writers have made Reva the best at everything. So good at everything that she is the one that saves Luke Skywalker, that decides not to kill him. In that moment, she had the power to basically either pit the galaxy to eternal darkness, or basically be the savior, the half savior of the galaxy. And it just comes off as very just bad and just a waste of time for what the writers are doing here with the show that is about Obi-Wan. And you're so focused on this character that we don't care about, because later on Obi-Wan shows up and she's all feeling sad and she's mopey and she's just kind of like, you know, I'm sorry, am I like Vader? And I'm like, who cares about this character? Nobody wanted to see this. Nobody wanted to see a story like this. It's not it's inconsequential to Vader and Obi-Wan's story and the rest of the story with Luke Skywalker and Leia and everything like that. You could have had the Grand Inquisitor that kidnapped Leia or whatever. In my opinion, there was too much Leia in this, not enough Luke Skywalker. It was just we did not need Princess Leia in this. There could have been many other reasons why Obi-Wan could have gone off planet. And if anything, a really good writer could have done a whole story of Obi-Wan on Tatooine. But that's, unfortunately, Lucasfilm just doesn't really recognize good writers. We cut back with Obi-Wan and Darth Vader, and then they duel, and then just it cuts back to Reva, and sometimes you're going, why would you, how does these stories even match in quality or interest? Like Obi-Wan versus Vader, a rematch, the rematch of the century, and then we cut to Reva. Like, who cares about that? Like, it's just, in my opinion, bad storytelling. We don't need to know anything about Reva. Her character's already like badly written. We don't care. She shouldn't even be at Owen's moisture farm. She shouldn't be anywhere near that. And so anyway, so we're at the fight, and I'm not a fan of the shaky camera. I'm not a fan of the quick editing. It's like a Jason Bourne movie combined with the Star Wars movie, but not in a good way. That kind of cinematography and editing does not feel Star Wars. And if you're watching this Lucasfilm, just once again, that is not Star Wars. Star Wars is more of a documentary type of feel where you just place the camera and you follow the action, and then you do some cuts here, some cuts there, and you don't shake the camera at all. Maybe a little bit, but mostly not at all. That's what Star Wars is. A lot of people have some complaints that maybe Obi-Wan was overpowered in this, but you also have to remember that Vader Anakin here is not at the power peak that he used to be. I mean, he will be. This is supposedly 10 years after Revenge of the Sith. You know, in 10 more years, Darth Vader is going to be even more powerful as he was in the original trilogy, which is why he killed Obi-Wan in the originals. Vader Anakin is still trying to hone his power. He's still trying to be not that, you know, cocky, arrogant Anakin that he used to be. And because there's still some signs of that arrogant Anakin, over his head Anakin type of personality there. And I guess Vader's still trying to get over that. So it does make some sense that Obi-Wan defeats him here, because I guess Vader is just very arrogant, and he thinks that he is the most powerful. And Obi-Wan uses kind of the images and memory of Luke and Leia to motivate him to defeat Vader. Though I know that Vader left Obi-Wan there under those rocks, but I'm pretty sure through the Force he can sense that he's still alive. If his whole goal is to kill Obi-Wan, I don't understand why he just left Obi-Wan there under those rocks alive. He should have made sure that he was dead. On the part where Obi-Wan left Vader dead, I think that makes a little bit more sense, because Obi-Wan feels bad for Anakin. At this point in Obi-Wan's life, I guess he still has this connection to Anakin, just like he did in Revenge of the Sith, and he can't come to terms to actually killing him and doing the final killing blow there when he was weak right there. We did see Anakin there with the helmet off, half cut off, and you see his eyes. Now I've seen a lot of fans say, I think in the novels, in like the Darth Vader novel set after Revenge of the Sith, Dark Lord of the Sith, I think, there's a moment where they say like his voice, like, without the mask, he's kind of whispering. You can barely hear his voice. You don't even hear the tone of his voice that much. So here instead what they did was you can clearly hear Hayden Christensen's voice. I think I would have preferred what the novels did, because if you remember at Mustafar when he was burning, it also burned his lungs, and it probably burned a lot of his, you know, vocal cords and things like that. So he was pretty damaged. So it would have been a lot more interesting to sort of kind of hear him whisper, barely kind of, you know, you could hear his voice, barely talking, because that's why he needs the suit, so that you can hear him in that James Earl Jones voice. And so that would have been a little bit more interesting if they walk on that way. Though, yeah, it was cool to, you know, hear Hayden Christensen and see his face there through the makeup and that sort of thing. Even though it was a copy and paste of what we saw in Rebels with his fight with Ahsoka, and it feels like Lucasfilm is just copy pasting their own work now, and it just comes off as lazy. And that was the fight. Overall, the rematch of the century was definitely not on par with what we got with the final duel in Revenge of the Sith. If Revenge of the Sith is a 10 out of 10, this fight, in my opinion, would probably be a 3 out of 10. Even though there are some cool moments with Obi-Wan and Vader here, and it's nice to see that Obi-Wan defeated Vader in his suit, it's still the fight, the choreography, the camera work, the editing, some of the choices in the fight were not very good. We finally get to the end and we see Obi-Wan visit Leia, and she returns the droid and they say their goodbyes, and he tells her about her mom Padme and even Anakin, how she has all these qualities. That was actually a pretty good scene. It was nice seeing Jimmy Smits and Ewan McGregor in a scene together in person. And then we go back to Obi-Wan on Tatooine, and he arrives at the Lars homestead, and he meets with Owen, and Owen invites Obi-Wan to basically meet Luke because he hasn't met him, and we get the iconic "hello there" line from Obi-Wan, from Ewan McGregor. And it would have been nice to see a more longer meeting there with Obi-Wan and Luke, because their relationship is pretty integral to the original trilogy and even in the expanded universe when Luke is already a master and he's speaking to Obi-Wan. So it would have been very cool to see that. And then Obi-Wan walks to the desert, what looks like he's going into Beggar's Canyon, and we see the apparition of the Force Ghost apparition of Qui-Gon Jinn, and Liam Neeson is back as Qui-Gon Jinn. It's a very cool moment. It has sort of like this, the way Qui-Gon speaks sort of has like this Yoda type of vibe, kind of like this humorous type of vibe where he's telling him, I've been waiting for you, you've just been taking so long, you're not paying attention, and I've been here always. So it's cool to see that. We should have had Qui-Gon Jinn more in this series. We should have had Luke Skywalker more in this series. And the end of this finale basically teased a better show than we got, you know. And that's really what we should have seen of this whole series, you know. Obi-Wan building his relationship with Luke Skywalker, being more in communion with Qui-Gon and Yoda, and disciplining himself and becoming that master that he was in A New Hope. And with Vader, we could have just had Vader across the galaxy brooding, trying to find Obi-Wan, and instead the storyline for Vader was him hunting down other Jedi along with the help of the Inquisitors. But more interesting would have been Vader actually hunting them down, and maybe there was a story about a Jedi running from the Empire looking for Obi-Wan, and Vader thinks that this Jedi is gonna take him to Obi-Wan, and it just would have been a more interesting story to see, because we know in A New Hope that Obi-Wan tells Luke that Vader was hunting down Jedi, and so that would have been really cool to see, but we didn't get any of that. So the finale basically teased a better show, and that's basically what this whole show was. A show that was a waste of opportunities. It was teasing something better, something within all this series like a better show. And unfortunately, it just didn't happen, you know. Now, I want to do a whole series review and analysis video of this whole show coming up, so look forward to that. If I have to give a series review score for this series, I would give this series a 5 out of 10, probably even less than that. It's just it wasn't what most of us wanted. Obi-Wan and Vader's story is integral to the Star Wars lore and universe, and what the writers here did is they didn't do their homework. They disrespected the lore, they disrespected continuity, the canon stories that we saw in Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope, and they just it was a bait and switch with Reva. It was just a show that they use as a agenda thing. You have the female characters here telling the men what to do. You have them being better at what the men do. Tala is way better than Obi-Wan. Reva is supposed to be way better than Obi-Wan. Beru is way better than Owen. Like we see through their disingenuous messages, and it just doesn't make any sense why they would do this, and they're not telling a story. And this is why they're failing. This is why this show has failed. And I will stick with Revenge of the Sith. I will stick with A New Hope. And this series will not be part of my canon. This series, in my opinion, never happened. Maybe I can pick some things here and there that are cool. Maybe I'll do a little edit with all the best things about this show, a video edit of all the best things about the show to try to come up with a better idea for a show or what this show could have been. But otherwise, I'm pretty happy with Revenge of the Sith and A New Hope. And Obi-Wan never left the planet. Obi-Wan and Vader never fought. And that's the way, in my opinion, it should have been. Now, my channel here is very focused on Star Wars, but I will also be doing reviews on other movies. As you can see, the Star Wars saga, the Star Wars franchise is not in very good hands right now. And it's basically on a slow decline. And it's slowly dying under Disney and Lucasfilm and the people that are running Lucasfilm and running Star Wars. And I will be doing a lot of analysis videos on my channel for Star Wars, especially of the originals and the prequels. And I will also be doing movie reviews for other movies. I'm a screenwriter, so the basis of this channel is all about movies, Star Wars, storytelling, and all that stuff. So thank you for watching. If you like this video, hit that like button. If you want to see more videos like this on my channel, hit that subscribe button. I'd appreciate it. In the meantime, I'll see you guys next time.